You, the small business owner, always get the short end of the stick. It's funny because governments, everybody says, oh, small businesses are the backbone of the economy. They're so critical, blah, blah, blah. And yet every time that stuff comes up that could actually help small businesses, usually it seems like the votes go the other way. So this video is going to teach you how to hire as a small business with an emphasis on getting the right person into your business and making sure that long-term they are the right fit so that you don't have to make an expensive change. I want to iterate that oftentimes hiring the wrong person means that you are going to be cost in actual value 30% of their expected annual first-year salary. Meaning if you hire someone for $100,000 and 3 to 4 months in, they're not the right fit, you've literally cost yourself at least $30,000 plus the opportunity cost of not having that right person in the business to begin with. So as a small business owner, make sure you get it right. My name is Kyle. I am the founder and owner of HireUA. I've been an online entrepreneur since 2014. I've been working in a lot of different businesses. I've done niche site affiliate marketing. I've run a blog. I've done information products. I built an olive oil business, and now I run this staffing and recruiting agency, HireUA. So I've done a lot of different things, and I've almost dabbled in brick and mortar. I almost opened a New York style pizza shop in Ukraine a few years ago. Thankfully, I didn't do that because it was December 2019, right before COVID started. So I'm glad I didn't do that, but I have the utmost respect for people who are running small brick and mortar businesses. Like, you guys have courage. Like, it's really easy for me to sit here behind the screen and talk about how I built a business that's all virtual with very little overhead to get started. It is a whole nother to have the guts and the courage to go and sign a year-long lease and commit yourself to a physical space and say, hey, you know, this is what I'm doing, I'm going for it. So again, mad props to everyone running a little cafe, a pizza shop, a bike store, a bookstore, anything that requires a physical presence instead of just being on the internet. Utmost respect to you. This video in many ways is made for you. I am going to be discussing a lot of aspects of how to just hire the right person with an emphasis and understanding that as a small business brick and mortar, it is a little more difficult. You have laws and regulations and HR and certain policies in certain areas, certain countries, certain states that you have to follow. Whereas if you're an online entrepreneur and you're working with contractors and freelancers, it's a little bit easier to just cut the cord if it's not working out. So this video is kind of tailored for the small business brick and mortar, but if you're an online business owner, you'll still get some value out of this. The core principles still apply no matter what. Humans are humans. Very much hiring is psychological, and there's lots you can pick up in this video. So without further ado, let's dive into the 5 things that you should be looking for as you are hiring as a small business owner. Key point number 1 is obviously to identify exactly what your business needs. Every business is going to be a little bit different, and you're going to be bottlenecked in certain spots. So what I always recommend you do is take an Excel spreadsheet and actually audit your time. If you prefer, you can also, do old school pen and paper. I actually like to do that myself with a lot of things, but audit your time. So in one column, put, hey, here's the time I spent on this task. In the next column, put the task, and then put the amount of minutes. After that, you can have a column with notes. So what I usually will do is I'll do this every couple of months. So I color code mine, and then my assistant, Victoria, and I, we review this and we say, hey, is this a good use of my time? Could this be delegated? Could it be outsourced? So mine is color coded like this. Number 1, should be delegated. Number 2, could be delegated. Number 3 is only Kyle, which means it's likely something only I can do, but maybe it's something that I would like to explore getting off of my plate. Then I've got personal, obviously, that's just me. And then there's a section that is green. Good, high leverage, and then there's a section that's kind of like unsure, like, is this a good use of my time? Like, let's talk about this. Should be delegated is red, so it flashes at me, nice red, get rid of this, like a red light. Could be delegated is orange, so it's kind of amber, like, I probably should delegate that. Yellow, only Kyle, it's like bright yellow highlighted. Personal, blue, green, good, high leverage, and then unsure is gray. Basically, it's a really easy way to look at my week and say, oh, there's a lot of red on here, so I need to be looking at getting these things off my plate. And then I start looking at what's common. So if I see the same thing every day in red and I'm like, this is not a good use of my time, then I start looking like, okay, could this be given to one of the current team members? Could it be automated? If not, do I need to hire somebody else to do it? So highly suggest you look at your business that way and use that to audit your time and figure out what you need. We're talking about smaller businesses, brick and mortar. So obviously you need someone in that case to actually physically be present in the store. The worst thing you can do, especially with a physical storefront, is have someone just sitting there like twiddling their thumbs, because people will look in that window and they'll say, oh, this person's just playing on their phone. So then you don't look like a serious business. Really write down like, hey, if it's busy, what's the priority? Obviously, customers are always going to be the priority. If it's not busy, what are we going to do? Like, what can this person be doing so it gives the appearance that we are a professional business? It's really tough. As like a small business owner, if you run a pizza shop and there's no pizza orders, like, what are you going to tell the person working to do? Clean. All right, what if it's all clean? Like, what do you do next so that it doesn't just look like someone sitting there, I have nothing to do. We're not a busy place, like, you know, because that's the impression. Nobody cares at a restaurant if you just go and order a coffee or a soda because you're taking a seat. Until that restaurant is full, it is better to have that social proof of we have customers, no matter what they're eating, what they're drinking, even if it's just nothing. Again, audit your time, look at the tasks, say, what do I need help with? And be thinking, what can I have people do that will help drive the business forward if there is nothing to do? And this applies if it's an online business as well. Let's say you're an agency, you do email marketing. If you have no clients, what can that person do? Even if their normal role is to fulfill clients' emails, what can they do if you don't have any work for them to do at that moment, especially if you're paying them a base. If you're paying them on a per project basis, obviously a whole different discussion. But if you're paying them a nice base salary, what can they be doing in that downtime so that they're not just getting paid to do nothing? Step number 2, write a good job description and be very clear. Ideally, have some samples of work or some sort of just overall day-to-day view. Once you've identified what you need help with in the business, your job description should include key outlines of the role, the responsibilities, what you expect, and of course, any potential for future growth. If someone does a good job, always be looking towards the future. Also, other small details, work hours, shifts, obviously, general expectations. Try to disqualify. For example, one of the most powerful things you can do to attract the right people is to have a system to actively repel and disqualify the wrong people. And I really like what Ben Settle says with this a lot. He's an email marketer. He's kind of been one of the pioneers of the daily email. And the way he writes and structures his marketing will actively push away anyone who's not a good fit for him and his model and his overall personality. So do the same thing in your job description. Push away the people that you know are not going to be a good fit. And I know like these days, it's one thing for me to sit here and be talking to an online business owner where you can hire from the entire world. You've got a whole pool of great people from many, many countries. Very different as a small business owner with a brick and mortar shop. I always tell this story that I spent the last year living out in the United States. I moved back for a little while. I ordered and went and picked up a pizza one night, and I was talking to the guy. I'd been in there a few times, and he was asking what I do, and I told him, and he said, it's so hard to hire these days. Like at a pizza shop. He said, basically, if someone walks in and they've got their shoes tied, I will hire them on the spot. Like if their shoe is tied properly, that's enough. Background checks, reference checks at this point. People are so desperate to get some help that they're just willing to throw all that away. And I mean, that's tough. It's not your fault if you're in a position like that. But again, try to repel the candidates that are not going to be a good fit. Use your job description as a barrier, as a moat around your business, as a way to push the people away who are not good fits. The third thing to hire well as a small business owner is to use a variety of different channels. So you don't, for example, just want to go on Craigslist and post your job. If you're a small business owner, you want to be putting it on a variety of different platforms. And what I always recommend people do is to try to utilize your network. So if you have someone who's in a similar business who's recently made a hire, maybe they had applicants they really liked. Maybe they already had 5 people and they had to choose one. Probably not that common these days, like for a small brick and mortar. I know it's really it's rough out there, it's a desert, but maybe there's someone who knows someone. So put the word out in your network, hey, I'm hiring, and be ready though. If it's the right fit and it's a reference, like sometimes that comes at a price. So be ready to pay the right person a little bit more. You should factor that into your budget. The good news is that if you're hiring somebody like locally, then you do have more channels available. If you're an online business owner, you've got like Upwork, Fiverr, you've got an agency. There's a lot of good sites in the United States like Indeed, Monster. There's actually a lot of platforms that you can use, whereas as an online business owner, you're really a little more limited with your options unless you have local knowledge or local language skills. Those are both ideal. But as a small business owner, use those local domestic platforms and make use of them. There's no reason you shouldn't. Using a combination of channels, you're casting a wider net and you're going to be able to catch more fish. Of course, actually sorting through the good fish and the bad fish is a whole nother discussion. I do have some videos on the channel. The pineapple pizza theory, which is basically by posting a a job description and putting something random in the middle. You are really kind of doing low leverage tasks. So again, if you're using a lot of channels, you might have to sort through a lot. But as a small business owner, it's really important you get the right person. As I said earlier, 30% potentially of their annual first year salary. Plus, I'm going to get into this now, and this is such a slippery slope. A lot of nonsense with HR laws and laws. Like if someone is doing a terrible job in your business, in a lot of places, you can't just get rid of them. You have to have a reason other than horrible performance. And even if you do have the ability to terminate them for that poor performance, you still have to go through all these hoops. It's crazy. Online business owners, definitely, we've got some more flexibility in that regard, which is nice. Small business owners, brick and mortar, I mean, depending how big you are, but yeah, it's like, if you're a medium-sized company with an HR department, the things you have to go through to get rid of somebody who's not performing, you have to look at it and say, are they really not performing? Is it meet the criteria of not performing? Have they, pissed anybody off recently? There's so many nonsense things to terminate somebody. So keep that in mind. You really want to get the right fit. Okay, fourth thing you should do as a small business owner, conduct thorough interviews. So if you're a brick and mortar, you can start with maybe a phone call or a video call. Obviously, you're going to take an applicant. They're going to, send their phone number. You might call them and say, hey, how are you doing? Give them a 5-minute interview. If they sound like they're decent, they're going to walk in. Most of the time, you're going to know whether somebody's the right fit based off of in-person. Like if you can meet someone in person, do not by any means just hire them virtually. So when I lived in Ukraine and was looking to hire an assistant in person in Ukraine, I conducted my interviews in person at a coffee shop. Do that if you can. Obviously, I understand small online business owners don't have that option. You're gonna have to use Zoom, but make sure they have their camera on. Like if someone shows up and they've got horrible lighting and it's all shaking, they're walking their dog at the park, that's obviously a huge disqualifier that they're not gonna take the job seriously. So make sure they're stable, sit down. They're not just on their phone holding it. They've actually got something. They've made some sort of effort to look good for this interview. In person, it's really easy. It's kind of like dating. You know right away whether someone's the right fit. And a lot of times they're not the right fit. So you should be able to tell somebody within the first, 5 minutes if you could see yourself working with this person. If you don't have that radar, develop it. You need to understand people. You need to have that gut feeling of whether someone's going to work out or not. I heard something really interesting the other day. I think it was Dan Martell, and he said, take your whole team. Imagine you have to fire all of them right now. They all got to be gone. And how many of them are you going to be excited to rehire in 3 months? So go down the list. Who are you excited to hire again and work again with? That you have to come in with that attitude right away. You should know, can I understand? Do I like this person? So conduct a thorough interview, ask open-ended questions, allow them a chance to answer. Try not to ask just the typical boring interview questions and allow them to elaborate on their answers. If someone is incapable of elaborating on a topic in depth, then guess what? You kind of have your answer. You know what they're about. Key point number 5, conduct an previous employer check, a background check. Like I said, the guy at the pizza shop, poor guy, he can't do a background check anymore. Calling up other employers. Here's where it's tough as a domestic business owner is they can only say so much. So you have to go and understand what questions you can actually ask a previous employer. Oftentimes there's all these laws and regulations about what they can or cannot say. They can't just say this person, absolutely sucked and did this and did that. That's their opinion. So you have to stick mostly to facts, and then you're more likely to probably get better answers. And again, this is going to vary from company to company policy. It can vary from country to country. It can vary, I believe, even state to state on some level. So understand what questions you can ask. If you're an online business owner, again, it's a lot easier. You can just pretty much say, where do you used to work? You can send someone an email and they'll probably just shoot straight with you because it's just a freelancer relationship. Just make sure you get a hold of somebody, because you can tell a lot from how someone talks about someone who they used to work with. Good employees are so hard to find. I've had employees that have left. If they were good, I would still just absolutely sing their praises all day, even if they left, as long as it was on good terms, even if they don't work for me anymore. So ask your other business owners. You can tell by their reaction. Even if they can't say everything they want to be able to say, their tone, the way they elaborate on the person will tell you a lot. So keep that in mind. In conclusion, hiring the right employees for your small business is a very challenging and tough process, made even more difficult if you are a brick and mortar or physical business owner where you have all sorts of hoops to jump through, both to get someone hired as well as to get rid of somebody if they are not the right fit. But if you follow all the things in this video, it will increase your chances for success. And this applies both to small businesses with a physical presence as well as online businesses. In summary, those 5 things are identifying your business needs and also figuring out what to do in their downtime if it's not busy, writing a clear job description, and then casting a wide net, going through your network, posting it on multiple job sites. Number 4, conduct thorough interviews, ask open-ended questions, allow them to elaborate, and use your gut. And 5, try to get a hold of somebody who they've worked with previously who can be a reference. And you need to understand people. You need to understand that a business owner potentially cannot say everything they would like to say. You need to be able to pick up on their tone and have that gut feeling. Always listen to your gut. It's always right. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe to the HireUA YouTube channel for more content on hiring, outsourcing, life abroad, and all sorts of other good stuff. Make sure you check out some of the other videos on our channel, as well as our client case studies and testimonials. I will put a link to those in the description below. If you are a business owner who works online and can hire people from overseas, Ukraine has some of the best talent out there. Go to hire-ua.com. Check the link in the description below. Click the big yellow button that says book your discovery call, and myself or one of the sales team members will be happy to walk you through our process and show you some of the people that we currently have available. See you in the next video.